Hey, welcome back to another HVAC Success Secrets Revealed with Thaddeus and Evan. Today we've got on Laura Kelly. She is with Clover, and they are a consulting company that helps grow businesses, working with over 375 different members in their coaching group who grew on average by 30% in this past year. She has worked one on one with billion-dollar companies, consulting them, and she's also toured the country with venture capitalist investments groups and has run over 30 events in 8 months for business owners across the country. She is a tremendous business mind, and she has picked the brains out of one of the best operators in the country with her father-in-law, Paul Kelly. Thad, what was your favorite part of this episode?
We went deep in a lot of things, but I think the one that I liked was the double penetration report that we talked about. No, I'm kidding. It's a DP report, and that was actually hack number one. I'm not going to actually say what it stands for, other than double penetration. So you actually have to listen for it. But I thought that was fascinating, phenomenal to be able to look at that one thing to be able to gauge the effectiveness of your business. So, Laura, what was your favorite part?
To gauge the depth of your penetration. Is that what you're trying to tell us to do?
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Something that I've seen create fast change was how to turn your call center into a profit center. So I share with you the one thing that if you give to your call center at the start of the day, explain the concept to them, you will bring more revenue into your call center that day than you ever have before, and create deep confidence within your CSRs that they could take with them throughout their day-to-day lives, in their home lives, but in a very deep and big and significant way impact your bottom line.
I love that part.
A lot of deep conversation today. For me, for me, it was definitely diving into what it is that truly separates the top salespeople and the top leaders. And there were some very interesting differentiating factors that Laura talked about in this episode. I found fascinating personally. They're a bit obscure, something you wouldn't normally think about. I think you're definitely going to want to pay attention to that part of the episode, but we do want to hear from you. What was your favorite part of the episode? And what of these 4 hacks are you going to choose to implement in your business today so that you can start making an impact in your bottom line? Enjoy the episode. Cheers. Hey, welcome back to another HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, where we have great conversations with good people, and any good conversation worth having is worth having drunk. Cheers, my friend.
You might have said it wrong, but it's okay.
What's that?
Don't worry about it.
It's a new year. We're having great conversations now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm excited to get this show started, this year started with an amazing guest, someone that we've been trying to get on the show for a while. Seems to be a running theme with some of the amazing guests that we've had. They're difficult to get on because they're, well, just a tad bit busy. But Laura Kelly is our guest today, and she is absolutely phenomenal. She's the tag team partner with Josh Kelly at Clover, and they have done some amazing things for contractors over the years. Of course, leaning on their experience in the consulting world, Laura has helped many, many businesses across the United States with her consulting practices. And her and Josh started Clover, specifically diving into the trades now and really helping grow businesses. They have 375 members in their contractor catapult program who averaged a 30% growth, which is phenomenal when you take into consideration that many businesses. And some are going to grow a little bit, some are going to grow a lot, but some of those businesses are 8 and 9 figure businesses, and when you factor in a 30% growth at that clip, that's a big, big growth number. So I'm really excited for this conversation today and diving in to 4 growth hacks, since it's a clover leaf, 4 leaves, ha ha ha. Let's have some fun with it. um, but 4 growth hacks,
Uh,
it's going to be a good time.
I got nothing else to follow that up with other than the fuck. All right. Well, our show wouldn't be possible without our sponsors in no particular order. CHIIRP, Elite Call, and On Purpose Media. So Elite Call, they are a U.S.-based call center champion for the home service industries for 20 years, actually. They've been outbounding clients' databases, filling dispatch boards with lucrative service and sales appointments, and boosting memberships like no other. They don't make calls. They actually directly integrate into your CRM, giving you a seamless experience. Don't let your competition get ahead. Let Elite Call connect with your customers and fill your board. You can visit them today at elitecall.net right there.
And we've got CHIIRP. Transform your home service business with CHIIRP, the ultimate automation toolbox. Capture more leads, connect instantly, and skyrocket your sales. CHIIRP integrates seamlessly with platforms like ServiceTitan and House Call Pro, offering automated texts, emails, and even ringless voicemails. Boost your Google reviews and customer loyalty with our proven rehash programs. Schedule your demo today and get an exclusive 25% off your first 3 months. Visit chirp.com/HSSR for HVAC Success Secrets Revealed and start boosting your revenue today. Now, before we get started, I got a challenge for everyone today. Do
Ooh.
your best not to get mesmerized by Laura's voice and try to pay attention to what she's saying, because she is going to blow your minds with some great information today.
Well, we'll also do a little quick read out on Purpose Media. We can't forget about them. They're the hosts of this presented by. So enhance your online presence with On Purpose Media, your go-to home service marketing expert for everything web design, SEO, and PPC. Stunning user-friendly websites, check. Increased visibility in search engines, check. Targeted traffic through effective pay-per-click ads, check. Let's turn your online presence into a lead-generating powerhouse. Visit onpurposemedia.ca to start your digital transformation and watch your home service company thrive in the digital world. Now we're ready.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, a show where we interview industry leaders and disruptors, revealing the success secrets to create and unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Now your hosts, Thaddeus and Evan.
that whole intro I'm jazzed. That's so smart. That is so. I speak all the time about anchoring. That anchored the shit out of me. So that was fun.
Yeah. Well, you're in. We're ready to roll. Welcome to the show. Long time coming. A lot of conversations about getting you on. And I know we originally said, sometime in end of February, because we didn't have a show today. You're like, no. Let's do January 3rd. Let's get it on. So we booked you. And now here we are. So welcome and thank you for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, I'm pumped to be here. I love doing this. I don't know. I think growing up where this sounds weird, but my mom used to like abandon, but she used to be like, if you sell every guest room, because we used to live in a guest house, I'll give you $5 or €5, or actually it was £5 at the time, which ages me. I just developed this enjoyment of chatting with folk, and it's like probably my favorite thing to do, especially good conversations and interesting folk. So I'm just as jazzed to be here. So thanks.
You're welcome. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it sounds like she abandoned me. She actually gave me the opportunity to. She didn't really. She just said, if you want to sell rooms and make €5 for every room, do it. And I, made it happen, and I could, sell. My mom. People say I could sell sand to the Arabs. I really don't think I can. I just enjoy enjoyable conversations, and the rest kind of follow suit. So,
but when you think about sales, when you really boil it down, it's connection, right? It's being able to have a connection across the table or across the screen in a virtual world. And if they talk about the know, like, trust, right? And there's obviously some varying components into that. But if you can sit there and you can have a conversation and people like you, you're 50% of the way there, in my opinion. If not more.
For sure. There's nothing worse than meeting a person, and I'm half a glass of wine in, if not more now. But I told you my best ideas come when I'm half a glass of wine in. There's nothing worse.
Glasses of whiskey.
Yeah, if I'm being real, mine's probably 2, and I'm almost that in. That was a large glass of wine. Although with your advice, I could be more in, and that might be dangerous. But I really do believe in, and this isn't kind of the plan of the podcast today, and we'll get more focused on our 4 hacks, but you can feel a charismatic energy from a mile away, or a person's energy from a mile away. And even if a person's energy is kind of iffy, it can be so felt, and it's so bloody repelling. And typically in spaces where, like podcast spaces or event spaces, commonly they attract people that work on themselves, which try and actively work on negating the shite that causes people to have this iffy kind of energy. So I just became aware of that early on, because I saw people that it's those that had all these demons bottled up that they were told not to talk about are the people that I never want to talk to, because they've got that crazy dark iffy energy. Yeah, personal growth is so freaking underestimated.
Yep.
So underestimated.
Well, and I think that's, I mean, when we mentioned the 375 members that you have and the 30% growth that they've had, most people don't invest into a course. They don't invest into a mastermind. They don't invest into consulting unless they're ready for it. It's very rare that somebody jumps into it and isn't ready for it and is going to be super resistant to change. They're
I
putting their money out there to say, I'm ready to do something big here and I need help.
It's yeah, that's so bang on. Like when people come on board with us first, I always say to them, like, how open are you to coaching? Because if you're not, it's like I say to people, if you don't believe in your personal trainer, you're not going to go to class.
Correct.
If we give anybody that works with us a complimentary 7-day trial to first get a taste of what working with us looks like, to see do they like how we kind of rock and roll and us them, because they end up getting a lot of us. And we don't want to invest in someone that's not jazzed to be learning from us. And after the 7-day trial, they typically are. And from there, we're off to the races. From there, they, roll everything out. And that's when, like you mentioned earlier, 30% growth is average. And like, I speak to a lot of badasses and I say, well, I don't believe you're average. And I only say that to the people that I genuinely don't believe are average. I don't believe you're average. So, the people who don't implement everything or don't, or timidly implement stuff, can average at 30%. I believe you can do a whole lot more. And the cool thing is, like I didn't grow Parker and Sons to the size it is today, 250 million, but I am incredibly competitive. And when I met Josh and married into the family, I hated that he knew so much more than me. Like really, really did not like it. And ever since, I've been getting mentored by Paul every week. And now I'm on calls and Josh is freaking really profound at what he does. He can be a hard ass, but that saves people so much money in the long run. But there's things now I know that he does not. And that's, that helps my ego feel better about itself.
I was just going to say, you're not competitive at all, are you?
Oh, like deeply. And it's probably not healthy that that's with my husband, but it is what it is.
Well, there's a healthy way to do it and there's an unhealthy way to do it.
No, I love working with Josh. I really, really do. Like we get to build our life together, not just get to pop out and visit our kiddos, because our business is all virtual. Like we get to pop out and visit our kiddos for lunch, and jump into our office and really make a difference in somebody's life for the rest of the day. Yeah, I slag him a lot, but I love the guy. He's my man for sure.
No, Josh is good shit. And I mean, running into both of you at the events that we had in Phoenix and then in Jacksonville, with just you, that was nice because he wasn't there. But
I'll tell him you said that.
He really is a gem, and I appreciated you guys inviting us out afterwards to come and hang out at the bar, because that's where we got to hear the story too about you selling the rented rooms for $5. And I think your story is a brilliant one, and it's really, really cool to see what the two of you are doing right now.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. I tell you what, I didn't leave Ireland 5 years ago thinking I'd still be in. When I landed in the States, I did feel like I belonged here. I truly, truly did. But I still didn't anticipate, where our lives would go together. I'm super family orientated. I thought I'd be in Dublin. Like when I won. I don't say this much. Maybe I'm saying it because I have a glass of wine in me, but when I won valedictorian in uni for this business optimization thing I did with various large corporations, my plan was to keep doing that, but I didn't know how to I didn't know how to market it. So that's why I came to the States to learn that and then go back and get more business. And Josh Kelly trapped me, and here I am.
Now you're a full blown Yank, is
Yank. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Full blown Yankee Doodle. They even go as far as calling us Yankee Doodles. How insulting is that?
That would be actually pretty insulting. So I wonder what they say about Canadians.
This is. Now I'm gonna say what I was about to say. It's not. It's there's deep. There's probably ignorance, and they both sound like that. They both sound like an American Canadian accent, so I'm sure they mistake Canadians for Americans, which is like a big insult. But I know I'm just what you learn about me fast is you're definitely going to get a real Laura, and I know that there's ignorance because they're both. We see you all for like 3 months of the year every
Mhm.
year, and there's so many people that visit like our local town that our awareness of the nuances of where everybody lives when our country's so bloody small is so goes over folks' head because they just go go about their day.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
So getting into the hacks, you mentioned something about Josh, and we don't actually, we just know the 4 topics. We don't know actually what even the hacks are, and so I'm hoping I'm gonna be telepathic here, and I'm gonna hope that we're going down this path,
Yeah.
or at least one of the paths for it. And so you mentioned saving money. And I think a lot of businesses and shit, we're part of a mastermind for our business, for our agency. And, one of the things that they talked about was cutting and crossing. And so obviously cutting expenses, cutting people, crossing was cross sells and upsells. Right. And so I think that's
Mhm.
an applicable thing in all businesses. But when you look at the reporting and the saving money, where are some areas that you guys have seen in your business that people are just bloated, that they need to reduce this down in order to be able to increase their margins?
Yeah. So yeah, the 4 hacks that I'm bringing to you all today is 4 hacks that have allowed people's bottom line just dramatically jump because they're just easy, fast wins. Typically, a lot of business owners have like they have shiny object syndrome. They get distracted by the next best thing, and momentum create
Nah.
right. Momentum gives us that dopamine kick. So one of my favorite things about what we do at Clover is we deliver fast, actionable ideas that can move the needle fast. So I'm just going to share with you some of our favorites and some of those that you can take away and run with. I believe you guys are going to give my email here at the end. I truly mean it. In the depth of my heart, you can reach out and I'll give you whatever playbook supports the ideas I'm going to share with you afterward. So my email is laura@growwithclover.com. Everything I share, a lot of it you'll be able to just take away and run without a playbook. Some of which you're going to want the what we've put together, and you just take it away and make it your own. um there's just a desire to literally help. Like I speak with some people and I'm like like competitors of ours, I'm like, take it away, make a copy of it, make it your own, whatever, just tell people to use it. So 4 hacks. Reporting hack. I'm going to share with you a reporting hack. I'm going to share with you a call center hack, a hack for your technicians, and a hack for your comfort consultants. So uh reporting hack, I've spoke about this quite a bit recently. But when I first met my father-in-law, Paul Kelly, who was the biggest contractor and still is the contractor that's grown the biggest residential company in one market, like it was all self-funded, all one market, 110 million when I had my first conversation with him. And I said, Paul, like, this was around the time that I knew Clover was going to happen because there were so many people coming to us for help. And I wanted to get insight into how I could help these people that were talking to us fast. And I said, Paul, what do you believe is the number one thing you attribute most to your success? What's that one thing for you? And he said, the DP report. And I didn't know what that meant. So I said, well, what is a DP report? And he said, it's a daily progress report. Essentially, you review your finances. We do this with all our members when they come on first. We review your finances. We discover what it needs to be, what your revenue and profitability goals are at the end of the year, and we break it down from year to quarter to month to day to week to day. And then every day someone's populating the revenue you brought in from the day before. Typically, ideally, you want someone else inputting that data for you, but you need to be proactive at looking at it and making adjustments accordingly. And what I mean by that is there are businesses that I speak with, so many contractors that tell me, I want to have $1 million month, and it's the 27th of the month and they've done like 700K. It's too late in the month to make up that amount of revenue. So they end up not making up that amount of revenue and they end up missing goal. And they end up then becoming a culture of missing goal, which causes a few things. Either they no longer look at their numbers, or any number becomes good enough within that culture. What the DP report allows for is pivoting early. he said to me in that same conversation, he said, Laura, there's 3 types of businesses in this industry. There's the proactive kind. There's let's start from worst to best. There's the reactive kind that they know the shoulder season is going to kick. They know it. And they just sit and let it pass. And they hate that it happens. They are giving out when it happens, but they know every year it's going to happen. There's the reactive kind of businesses that panic when their call log, when their call board looks kind of crappy. They panic and they frantically reach out to their digital marketing companies, their marketing companies, their team, their salespeople, their techs to try and fix that. And it's this frantic energy that surrounds the office. Or there's the proactive crowd that anticipate the issues that are coming down the pipe. Shoulder season happens every year, and they have levers in place to pull when those issues become apparent. And that is what the DP report facilitates. It is like a North bloody star. Like, I tell people to not underestimate that statement. Like, I was fortunate enough to talk to the person who's grown the biggest residential company ever with only a 7.5% market share at the time. And he said the DP report is the biggest thing that facilitated that growth. We have it, and the formulas are all built and everything. I have a video that allows everybody to walk through it. I wholeheartedly just want people to have it because I've seen how much it shifts companies. Like now Parker and Sons doesn't just use it; all the Wrench Group companies use it. I've never seen a more simplistic report that drives the needle the most. Mainly because you know that your revenue and profitability goals have been worked out before this report's been ever built, and the number you have to strive for is sufficient. So all you got to do, you don't have to be that business owner that is so anxiety ridden because you're thinking about 12 months from now. You're just focused on that week. I just need to hit goal this week. We don't really care when members don't miss goal any given day. But if a trend starts to happen, that's when we ask you to pivot. So like if you miss goal for 3 days in a row, that's the trend. Anything that happens 3 times is defined as a trend, and that's when you want to start pivoting. What I mean by pivoting is you want to pull a lever that creates change, meaning you want to run some promotion with your techs. You want to pull some marketing levers that get some calls on that board. It's a lever is something that creates change that week, that creates short-term change. When you have this DP report and you know your numbers because it's already been worked out ahead of time, you have this North Star and you can go to bed at night with bloody ease knowing that this is all I got to do. And you know when you're not on track, the report goes red, and you just reach out to partners of yours or friends of yours that are just doing a bit better than you, that can guide you, saying, hey, not on track for goal this month. What are some ideas that are working for you? And now you become proactive. And if you remain proactive, you'll get back on track for goal. You truly will. Burying your head in the sand, I really believe people don't have the desire to bury their head in the sand. They're just so overwhelmed and feel like they're so overwhelmed. They don't know what's enough because they haven't worked from what they need backwards, which the DP report facilitates. So when a person becomes overwhelmed, commonly they become paralyzed, and therefore it's easier to get caught up in the busy because you're accomplishing something. But ultimately, it's not that important because your numbers, when assessed and dialed in, are what allows you create the change culturally, or what allows you to create the bottom line change, which allows you to create cultural change, create better experience, attract better talent. It is your North Star. So when I say a reporting hack, there's all these hacks that are important. There's all these reports that are important. The DP report is, and I visited so many companies at this stage and fortunate enough to do so, and still get that mentorship from Paul every week. And he too believes that report is what allows one be proactive. The one nuance to add to it is that many people have daily huddles with their people. And I visit companies a lot and I observe first, because I don't want to, plow all over a leader's, way of operating. I'll guide afterward. And I see these morning huddles become reporting sessions where like they're reporting on how plumbing did yesterday and they say how it did and they admit that it didn't do great. And then they move on to HVAC or they move on to electrical. and then they go about their day. And it, awareness of numbers is better than no awareness for sure, but it's still only awareness. It's not half as bloody impactful as doing something with that awareness. So the pivot I encourage people to make is like, honestly, the reporting sessions are just not that valuable. What you end up doing is just demoralizing your organization, demoralizing the leaders that take that demoralized energy that we already spoke about and take it back into their areas that they operate within.
Right.
Instead, we say, all right, what is a lever we're going to pull to create change here? So it's making those meetings proactive, and the DP report facilitates that proactivity, because you now have the awareness, you have the rest of the bloody month to create change. It's cool. We're going to get back on track. What are we going to do about it? We're all bright people. We've bright people that works for us. What are we going to do? What levers are we going to pull to create change this month? And I always encourage people to ask that of their team too. Like the leaders that are in the morning huddles to still ask that of their department. And like, I always say to people, if there's no room for failure, there's no room for innovation. So when I go into call centers and speak to call center managers, I say, like, invite the ideas from your CSRs. You can tell them up front, I'm not going to implement them all, but I have 20 million ideas all the time, and only 2 of them are good. I want you to continue to share the ideas, and there'll be some good ones.
Yep.
And that's the reporting hack that, when implemented, I truly wholeheartedly, with all of me, know it will change your business. You're very
100%.
welcome to reach out and I will send it to you. That's reporting hack. And we can,
you mentioned 3 types of businesses. I caught reactive and proactive, but I missed the third.
There's passive. Those that
Passive.
just
Perfect.
know it's going to happen, hate that it's going to happen, but
That makes sense. Really quickly, what do you measure on the daily progress report? What are the things that you're looking at?
Just revenue.
Just revenue.
Just revenue. Yeah.
Just revenue.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
Well,
but that
it
revenue
feels like that's the 30,000 foot view. That's the CEO report, right?
Correct.
You need to know the pulse of your business. Where are the sales at? Where are the sales coming from? Boom. Next level down, each manager has their own daily progress report. Sales of the HVAC division needs to understand just their department, right?
Yes.
Customer service sides needs to know their department. What's their daily progress report? And then that all can get funneled up. But that's how you control the levers now. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's so true. And like, if even that way of thinking, I love. What is a 1,000-foot view I can have for this meeting? What is a 1,000-foot view I can have that will create more effectiveness for this department?
Right.
What is a 1,000-foot view I can have for this? So if you work your way down with that mindset, you'll end up giving everybody the clarity they need, because commonly reporting ends up being convoluted. So they've too much data.
Correct.
And you guys are in digital marketing, vanity metrics are vanity metrics. They don't necessarily drive the bloody needle. And both you and us want to be everything but those that focus on vanity metrics. And yes, asking yourself that question, what is a report that would give me the sufficient data that would allow me create change? The DP report is it for high level daily meeting, CEO, owner, GM position. I even have like key influencers within the business. Like I don't mind sharing this report. It doesn't say the revenue, but I like to share this report with everybody. There's what we do in various businesses that we own throughout the States and businesses that we've run is we do a profit share where we give whoever has most influence in driving the revenue that month get a percentage of that profit share. If that's something that interests you, I can send you that playbook too. But what that allows for is it gets everybody behind the one goal. It gets everybody behind just focusing on winning that month or winning that week. And you'll give bonuses accordingly based on how much they help you reach that goal every month, week, or day. Day is kind of harder to measure. It can be subjective, but
Right.
month to month. Yep.
Well, the thing I love about all of this is more often than not, business owners are probably the most guilty of this. We set a goal for the year. We write it down. We do this big vision planning day. We write down our why, put it all on a piece of paper, and then it goes in the drawer and it sits there until next year when we create our goal for the next year. There's very little attention to it. There's very little focus on it. It's just this arbitrary thing that we wrote down because we thought that we should have and we should do it. but we don't actually pay attention to it. So this is bringing moment to moment awareness. And Gary Keller talks about how the purpose of a goal is not to actually achieve the goal. The purpose of a goal is to be appropriate in the moment.
That's
And
I love
having
that.
this kind of a focus on their daily numbers allows you to stay and course correct as much as possible. You know, airline pilots, they're off course as much as 95% of the time when they take off. All they're doing the entire flight is course correcting. But if you don't pay attention to it on a daily basis in your business or on a minute to minute basis on a flight, you get too far off course and now it's too difficult to get back on course, which is exactly what you said.
Well, you said one quote that resonates a lot with people that I thought you triggered it based on what you said. I quote Paul a lot because I don't like to ever give advice that I know is not bang on. And his advice is because what he's grown. He said, the more you look at the numbers, the more influence you have upon those numbers, which is, I just like that quote. It just rings nicely. The more you look at the numbers, the more influence you have upon those numbers, which allows you get back on course. To your point, it's okay to be off course for any given day.
Right.
It's also very possible to get back on course. So why not do it?
Right. The one question I do have is around the culture of missing goals.
Oh, yeah.
And how, one, I guess the two thoughts there, setting big goals and allowing yourself to stretch and grow beyond what you thought was probably possible, but you're never quite hitting them because they are so big. So that concept, but then also if you do have a history of not hitting goals, how do you begin to change that and shift that within your organization?
Just before you answer that though, like it is demoralizing. I've been on that side where there's always constantly team goals and we never hit it. We assume we just didn't care. We just stopped caring about the owner's goals. We're like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's
Right?
fucking, it feels ambiguous. It feels like they gave no fucking thought to it.
Yep, exactly.
It's the truth, because there's still got to be, they've got to believe it's realistic. It's like the 4-minute mile, you know, everyone started doing it when they thought it was realistic. There's got to be an element of realism, or execution will come with low belief because they don't believe. That is why when you do, whether that's with us or on your own, I really encourage you to look at your numbers from the year prior and year to date. Well, year to date is not really relevant because it's January, but the year prior, and look at how you are trending and set revenue goals based on where you were last year. And you want to be just a little bit above it. You don't want to just pick this freaking number that sounds good out of the air. And there's no, you want something that you did achieve last year and it's just a bit above it. So it's a stretch to a point, but it's a stretch when you have this awareness and you now have the help on your side, or you have the intention to actually do something with this awareness, which you may not have had last year. So that's how the goal is set, is considering what was done last year. And depending upon the amount you want to grow by, you can set the revenue goal to that amount. If you have been having, poor years, and you've just really, you've been missing goal in this culture, the whole organization then again stops taking goals seriously. You have to have that shift. So you have to start creating wins. When you start creating wins, then they start to care about the goal again. I also for key it depends on the size of your organization. There's some organizations that actually bonus a ton of people in their organization when they hit DP goal. So everybody's focused on that one goal. So everybody's focused on that one goal, which allows which and then you bonus them at the end of the month. So with that one focus, you end up getting, everybody's rolling in the same direction. So I would say, look at last year and just a little bit above that. And then start talking about the DP report and start creating wins. Your goal, if you've lost wins before and you have a culture of failing, is to get a lot of wins under your belt so they actually start to care about goal again. And they know your numbers are not just pulled out of your backside.
Perfect. Love it.
All right.
So with that, like, would you, to get some wins under your belt, would you shift anything or talk about different goals that quite aren't maybe your big, hairy, audacious goal then? And would you make it a little bit smaller or shift it to something smaller and more tangible that's hittable so you can create that culture?
Meaning, if you're considering what you did last year and you're just bumping it up a small bit revenue wise, and you're setting that goal for a month, that's a relatively tangible period of time that they know we didn't do all that many things right last year, and it was a hard year. This year might be looking better, or we've better partners in place. They already know you did that when there was various things not working. Now they know the various things that you've changed. They can wrap their hands around what was already done last year, and then they just have to push a little bit. And they already believe that pushing is possible because you've various people now on your side that you didn't have prior, or various systems in place that you didn't have prior, or awareness that you have now in place that you didn't have before. So it's just enough that there's still belief, but it also will result in you being profitable at the end of the year, or you having that growth goal that you anticipated or desire. Does that make sense?
Yep. I think a big part of that is just allowing them to understand why it is that this is the goal.
Yes.
The more that you're able to explain the why, the easier it is to get buy-in from the team.
For sure. It's and whys can be explained, in a few ways. It can be, this is the dollar amount we need to really start to impact and change and grow our company and your lives and our customers' lives. Or it can be when we meet this goal every single month, we do want to bonus you so you can do those things that you haven't necessarily, budgeted for. It can facilitate that trip that you didn't think you could have. Talking about a why, in doing so, you need to consider what's important to that person. What is the whys of that person, and tapping into that motivation accordingly. Okay, hack number 2. I want to tap on various elements of an organization. So a call center hack. Honestly, quoting Paul Kelly again. I only, like maybe not even 2 months ago, he wouldn't mind me saying this. I called Parker. We obviously use Parker, and I didn't like how they answered the phone. The service was not how it should have been. And I told Paul, I said, hey, I think he's partially retired, partially not. The dude doesn't know how to not work. He's passionate about it, good at it. I was like, I think it might be worth you, popping over. And he did. And I said, well, what's going on? And because the call center wasn't doing as well as it has been in the past, or had. They're 250 million now. Yes, yet it's not doing as well as it was when they were smaller. Something's bloody going wrong. Like meaning because I have this direct insight from Paul. So he went over and I talked to him and I said, what's changed? And he said, it used to be a requirement that you ended every call with an opportunity. Now it's like, do it if you want. That was the only thing that changed. So that change actually had ripple effects. People were making less money because they were getting bonus less often. People were having less wins in the CSR office because it wasn't a requirement. The energy was different. And being a CSR is a hard job. Like people don't want to talk to you when they call you. They have a problem. They don't want to talk to you. They call you. They don't want to talk to you. To deal with that kind of negativity every day can be hard. You need to create an environment that actually feels good for CSRs to be in, which is a whole other conversation. People don't prioritize their environments. They can be crappy. We can talk about that if you want me to. But the hack here is ending every call with an opportunity, and here's how you do it. You do it with a script or a concept called "Oh, by the way." So at the end of the call, when the call is booked, you end it with another opportunity by saying, "Oh, by the way, Mrs. Jones, X, whatever it is." So, if the focus, I commonly encourage the call center manager to determine what you want to focus on that month or that week. So, say for instance, you're in plumbing. You do various different services. Your HVAC department, it's the shoulder season, your HVAC department is slow. When a person calls in for plumbing, the "oh, by the way" is, Oh, by the way, Mrs. Jones, we have oh, by the way, Mrs. Jones, have you got a tune up on your system this year? Or oh, by the way, Mrs. If say they book for HVAC. Oh, by the way, Mrs. Jones, have you any dripping drains or leaky faucets? So you're describing what's actually happening. And you're ending the call with an opportunity. Oh, by the way, Mrs. Jones, are you going to pay full price today? She's not going to want to pay full price, so she'll ask questions, and you can segue into your maintenance agreement. It's the I heavily suggest the call center manager determines what's spoke about that week or month, to facilitate the success of other departments, or to facilitate the success of, say, maintenance plans. So when the shoulder season kicks, you can still keep your talent busy, your techs busy. That is the only thing that changed. And their numbers were freaking drastically different when their business is bigger. But it stopped there was a point where it stopped growing at the pace that it was. The call center is not a cost. The call center can make you money if it's run correctly. And it's using the oh, by the way script at the end of every call. It's not a script, it's a concept. Like, oh, by the way, opportunity. It's just so passive, non-salesy. Now, when you
I
email
was
me,
literally just about to click on that exact same one. I'm like, oh, and then he put it, oh, by the way, is worth my time here today.
oh yeah, cheers.
Yeah.
It's so, Tony, I saw your name. It's so amazing. There's a sometimes when I visit shops, and I say I meet with the owners, but I like to I have empathy a little bit for some CSRs. I feel like a lot of them don't believe, they have a lot of self-esteem, they don't believe in themselves. It's nice to just, when the intention is to go in and speak with the owners, to drop this script and concept in the call center and say, I'll be back at the end of the day and you're going to get spiffed X for every whatever you sell. And they end up flipping making a load of money, and they then believe that they actually have influence. They actually then believe, what I do matters. I'm, making more money for my family or whatever. This sheet, it's literally explaining the concept. I can send to you, but really you take what I said today and have that meeting with your CSRs in the morning. Say, I want you to every single call after it's booked, get that opportunity first, bird in hand, with an opportunity, and you'll spiff them whatever the dollar amount is. Your call center will be a much more exciting environment by the end of the day. Side note, make your call center exciting. Make it colorful. It's a hard job. Make it exciting. Like, if you think about the winning call centers in the world, what do they look like? Are they dead quiet, or have they loud, exciting music? Do that and give them this, oh, by the way, tool, and spiff them accordingly. You'll want to hang out in the bloody call center because it's an exciting, winning environment. So I'm glad that helped you. Email me for the sheet if you want it, or dissect what I just shared, and bring it into your call center. And I'd love to hear the result of it. It's always exciting. It's always fun, and that's the stuff that really gets me going. Seeing the change that happens with such a tiny little shift.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Like, you talk about the culture, and like, we had a Jack Pincel from Elite Call on just before the holidays, and they do outbounding with databases, and like the culture that they've put that in to be able to make it fun and invigorating is just such a key thing. And like, you've alluded to this numerous times over and over again, but hey, guess what? This is a common theme from all of our great operators on our business, or on our podcast rather, is that their business has a phenomenal culture to be able to allow them to do this, right? That's a big thing. So, but there you go. Shauna Huffman Brown, Laura at growwithclover.com. I'll send you her email address in a message, or as a response to your comment there shortly. But oh, by the way, have you heard about this random question generator that we have?
It's the takeaway there, just so we don't miss it, is make it a requirement.
Yes.
It's no longer, that's all the change. It's no longer like a tool they have in their tool bank. They have to end every call with it. It's a requirement.
Yeah.
That was the shift for him. Requirement.
Yeah, makes sense.
Well, and I love the conversation around the culture of the call center, because so often it's overlooked, right? How do you keep that energetic? How do you keep the enthusiasm up, right? And at Cutco, we always talked about smile when you dial, right? Be smiling when you're on the phone, because people can hear it through the phone.
Yes.
Enthusiasm is contagious. And you talked about it earlier too, that sales is an energy sport. Well, you're selling on the phone. You're selling them on why they should book a call with you, right? So I love all of that. I'm curious, top 3 offers that you would ask ad as a, oh, by the way,
Oh
or
gosh.
businesses that only offer one service?
Oh, this is where you catch my weak points. I would say ask yourself this question. There are certain things that, if offered in your business, will drive your bottom line the most. There's a question in life that has facilitated so much clarity for not just me, but for clients of ours. What is the one thing that, if done, it would make everything else easier or unnecessary? Yeah, Evan seems to like it. What is the one thing that, if focused on or sold or offered over the phone, would make everything else easier or unnecessary?
Love it.
That, because I can, in giving you that guidance, I'm giving you accurate guidance that will create dramatic change. In telling you the technical things to sell is not like I've never been a technician. I've never but I've seen a lot of companies, helped a lot of owners, a ton of owners, think differently. And thinking differently is also often enough sufficient, because you guys have the information within. You just need to ask yourselves better questions. The quality of your questions determines the quality of your life.
I am the smartest man alive.
That was for you. That was brilliant.
That's hilarious. I got a fright. I'm so fucking jumpy. So is our son. And Claire, you could Claire, nothing scares her. Quality of questions determines the quality of your life. So what is the one thing that, if sold over the phone, would make everything else easier or unnecessary, either for that week, that month, or that year? As an example, if you sell enough maintenance agreements, the talent that you're afraid you'll lose in the shoulder season, you won't, because you can keep them busy via maintenance agreements. So it's asking yourself those questions, anticipating problems, which allows you to be proactive. And that's the one variable of the best companies, is proactiveness.
Brilliant. Even better than giving the answer, it's making people think. Love it.
All day. If creating thinking, if you can create thinkers, that's just a lost art. I wish it for people.
What was the thing that Gary always said about leadership? It was the role of as a leader is not to get people, or not to teach people what to think, but how to think.
All day.
Yeah.
All day.
Well, buy back your time by Dan Martell, the 131, right? Talks about that too. Is you've got one problem, well, come to me with 3 solutions and choose what solution that you want to run with, and I'll tell you if it's right or wrong, right? And so now you're encouraging the way that people think as well. So many great.
I love that too.
Yeah, great book, by the way.
That's gonna save me a bunch of time.
Yeah, it does too.
I bet.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating for the team. Our team can attest to it, that it is frustrating at times when you do come back and make them think all the time, because sometimes they just want the answer. But the idea is you're actually decreasing dependency on the leader or your manager to be able to do things yourself, right? So it makes you a better person as a whole. So for our team watching, that is why we do it.
It also, when a person has their own idea, there's more buy-in to the execution and the success of that idea.
Mm-hmm.
is one of the benefits. But I also see so many owners that are on vacation and they're getting tech calls by their techs, and that's on you, because you facilitated giving them the answer. There's no better feeling than the feeling of self-reliance, the ability to handle shit yourself. And the ability to actually be a capable individual. Give them that gift instead of just giving them the answer. Mm-hmm. They can take that everywhere, and they'll remain loyal to you for facilitating that within them.
Well, Amanda Triolo's done that. She's talked about that a few times on our podcast, and how that she's instilled that within her team. So, but we do got to get back into the random question. Yes. And you 2 more hacks still. So the random question generator brought to you by On Purpose Media, where we don't just boost posts, we rocket launch them. Get your free marketing analysis done by Evan by going to the link and filling out your information. The link, in case you actually didn't drop it. So onpurposemedia.ca/marketing-analysis will be the link that you're going to want to follow. And we can help you get your marketing pointed in the right direction. So I'm sure you're familiar with how this goes. We give you 3 choices. You don't get to know what they are. I just get to tell you, do you want what is behind door number 1, 2, or 3?
Me? You're asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought this
random
was
question. No, this is to you. It's a random question that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, and you just get to choose
one.
One. If you had to be on a reality TV show,
It's funny.
which
Yeah.
would you choose?
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. A reality TV show. What would I choose?
She's gonna say The Bachelorette. Sorry, Josh.
No, I was
No,
thinking Temptation Island.
you're thinking what you know what I think I would choose, and this what you know what you know what I know I would choose is if my parents are like they're like my family, I adore them, and it's like madly dysfunctional all at the same time. That if you were to Big Brother our house at Christmas, I definitely think we would go viral. So if that could be a show, that like I could just like one of my favorite things about going home is just sitting in the kitchen and listening to the shit that my dad comes out with. It's nuts. And I genuinely believe it would go viral because it's like madly, hilariously dysfunctional and chaotic. So
Well,
if that could be a
Especially an
show,
idea for
especially
next
after
Christmas.
a couple of
yes,
these. Yeah.
yes, and
Yeah.
lots of those happen at Christmas. So
Yes.
We're gonna
if
set up
that's
secret cameras all over your parents' house.
Okay.
We're gonna send them out for the day, so we can set up the secret cameras and microphones all over the house, and we're just gonna record everything.
I have like, and I really believe that stuff would go viral. It wouldn't. My mom would be embarrassed forever, but I genuinely believe that would go viral. They're characters, to say
Just tell
the
her it was the Yankee Doodles idea.
yeah. You might be called something else other than Yankee Doodles. All right.
Text. There's always hacks that we can give our techs, especially as business owners. So what do you got for us?
Yeah.
And a quick challenge too with this. One metric that you would want to see on a report if you could only see one from that department.
Oh, I like that. Okay, cool. Happy to do both. And I'm going to speed up because I know we're coming on time. All right. One hack. I only had a back and forth chat with, I refer to Paul because I trust him yesterday on this. And he said, and I said, we were chatting and I'm building a sales system out, a sales process. Basically, what is the sales process that the biggest home service companies have, the most successful home service companies have? I'm speaking on it at a conference at the end of the month. And I wanted his thoughts on, did he align with what I thought? And he did. And it was bringing that accessory into the house and putting it on the kitchen table. That alone, watch your average ticket. Like, that's how simple this tip is, that hack is. Have them bring the thing into the house. First, you have to make sure you have it on the truck, and then bring it into the house. And a quick way of knowing, and it becomes a requirement, just like ending every call with an opportunity. And there's a few ways you'll know whether they're doing it or not. You can either talk to your distributor on how many of whatever you've been selling, or if they ask you for more, or you can have someone follow up on the call and say, did they bring up X to you? Putting whatever the accessory of the month is. We talk about this a lot in Clover and have our clients do it. Having an accessory of the month that you roll out every month and create big excitement behind. Whatever the accessory of the month is, bringing it in with you and putting it on the kitchen table is making, and this happens after the call. If it's a requirement to bring it in at the end of every call. Your average ticket, your monthly revenue will dramatically go up. I challenge you and encourage you. Literally, I had this affirmed from a $250 million residential contractor yesterday, who's in charge of the rent, who's one of the leaders within the rent group right now. It was bananasly game changing for him, and that's a word I may have never thrown out before. Bananasly game changing.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. The bring after you've serviced the house, so you've gone out you've gone out to the home to do what was intended, to do what they called you for, to do what was panicking them. You fixed the thing. You've gone out to the truck, brought it in, put it on the table, and told a story around why it's important. You can tell that story in various ways. You want it to be a story so it doesn't seem salesy. And a way to bring up opportunity to people, you can use the I notice most of why script. I notice, Mrs. Jones, you don't have an air scrubber. Most of our customers have an air scrubber because of X, Y, or Z benefit. May I ask why you do not? You can use that, or you can just tell a story around the benefit of X and why it would help them in their home. The habit as an owner, if you're listening to this, is it's now a requirement, just like ending every call with an opportunity, for them to bring in the thing into the house and put it on the kitchen table. That it's not no longer talking about it or wishing, because sometimes I do believe the technician has the intention to talk about it. They get caught up in the technical. They might not want to talk to the business owner, and they get out the door and they're gone. If it's on the table and it's part of their process, it's there. It's a talking point that has to be spoke about. So bringing in whatever the accessory of the month is, or whatever you want to sell more of into the home, putting it on the kitchen table, just making that, you're going to get no's, but you're going to get a whole lot more yeses because you're asking more. There's a great book called The Power of Yes, or The Power of an Ask. And it's a sales book. The more asks you get, the more yeses you're going to get. And that's it. That's the hack. Bring it into the home.
It's so simple to do, and yet so simple not to do, right?
Yep.
But that's the beautiful part about most successful businesses, is they're just really, really good at doing the really simple things
Consistently. And it's all about, like, that does come down to the leader. You have to be able to get your people to do things. Like, the leaders in the industry that are the most successful are the people that are able to get people to do the things they want them to do. They're the most successful business owners in this industry. If you're not that person that can influence people to do what you want them to do, work on your leadership skills and have another person ask that of your techs. If that's what really defines a good leader, is, are they willing to do the things you ask of them?
Right.
There's and with good, if a leader has good intentions, you're going to only ask good things, which enhances the lives of everybody. But that's it. I know we're running on time here. Every single time, whatever the accessory is that you want to focus on, bring it in and put it on the table. Make that a habit.
I don't know about you, Thad, but I had a ton of flashbacks to Cutco throughout that whole segment, because so Thad and I used to sell knives together, and we
I
always
didn't know
would
you
bring the
sold them.
knives
I
in.
didn't know you both sold them. Oh
Yeah,
my god,
we
I
did.
didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah, and
Evan
so
just follows me around everywhere.
I let him do it first, and then I can. But yeah, we would bring the knives in, and inevitably you would always sell more of what you had in front of the customer, but you also sold more about what you were enthusiastically excited about.
Yes.
Right. And I remember I was coaching a young rep, and he was selling a ton of cheese knives, brought him into the house, did the demo with him, and I was field training, right? I did the ride along. I'm sitting there watching his whole presentation. The whole thing was hum ha, gets the cheese knife. He's like, you got to see this thing. And he would lose his mind over it. Inevitably, everyone would buy that because they got so excited about it. So how is it that you can not only get them to do it and bring it into the house, but get excited about it even when they're not?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And the accessory of the month program is helpful to start bringing awareness to selling a thing, and then oftentimes a person gets attached and excited about one of the things,
Right.
that they get jazzed about it, and they're like the cheese knife guy, and he'd sell it to freaking anyone because he's so excited about it.
Right.
The best way is for them to experience it themselves, for sure. Like I've seen people where their kids were young and they kept getting sick, so they put air scrubbers in their home and all their units, and their kids just stopped getting sick as often. And he was a comfort consultant. He was selling tech and then became comfort consultant, and they put air scrubbers on every unit in their house, and their kids just stopped getting sick as often. And this dude, who was so bombarded by not being able to go to work, and his wife being sick and his kids being sick and no one being able to visit because they just seclude themselves because everyone was sick. It was around the COVID-y time. He speaks about this thing, and you try and find money if you didn't have money to buy it. So then I would tell those people, yeah, keep selling that thing. You don't need to worry about the accessory of the month. The accessory of the month allows for the opportunity to find for a person to find a thing that they love. Or what we have some organizations do is, if there's something that a person is passionate about having in their home because they believe it would make a big difference, let them have it in their home so they can experience the fruits of it, and therefore they're speaking from the heart, and people typically feel that.
Right.
Like the cheese knife guy.
But the guy
People
with
feel it.
the guy with the air scrubbers, right? Like now he can tell the stories. Like my family used to be sick all the time. We put this in, boom,
Yeah.
solved, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
do you
Yep.
want to not be sick too? Firsthand knowledge,
Yeah.
guys, right? And so that's the power of it. By the
This
way, like
dude goes.
the
This
cheese
dude
knife,
goes.
the cheese knife is fucking fantastic. By the way, it is straight
I
up the
wish there
best
was a
cheese knife
video.
ever. Yeah.
I want to see this guy. I want to see that guy try to sell it. Maybe I'll buy like 20 of them.
But
The
here's the important note I want to make about what Thad just said, though, is that
Yeah.
so you get this guy who's really excited about now, and Laura, you said this too, right? You get that person who's really excited about that one product. Now you get them to teach your team about the product and tell their story, because now,
all
even if your
day.
team doesn't have the story and the relationship to that product, now at least they can tell the story of the person in the office that does.
All flipping day. So the client that ended up getting so jazzed about the tech that ended up getting so jazzed about air scrubbers, he went so far to say you can either your kids' lungs can either be you can either have a filter or your kids' lungs will be the filter. Like when it came to like selling filters and stuff, they people will go to deep lengths when they're passionate about something, and all day that's the champion that teaches in those weekly trainings for sure, because people buy into stories. People
Yes.
genuinely buy into stories because that's real life, and we're all stumbling our way through life. Life has its ups, life has its downs. It's normal, and people resonate with that, buy into it, and take action accordingly. All day, that is like such brilliant advice. Versus, the service manager that's not out in the day to day quite as much, who's not in it. The person that's in it, that is their peers, all powerful, 100%. I love it. I love it. All right.
All right, hack four. So you mentioned the tech that became the comfort consult,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that this hack probably has a relation to that, or maybe it's just somebody that selling tech to comfort consult, or just a straight up comfort consult. So, what's your hack for the comfort consult?
This is hilariously simple because I typically end up going on longer than I should, so I have to wrap things up fast. It's hilariously simple and hilariously true. I had a desire to. I'm doing ride alongs with the most successful comfort consultants throughout the United States, and I have like 5 more left to do, and of those that I've done, there's one variable that separates. There's a bunch of variables. There's just the one variable that's most significant that separates those that like have average sales or crappy sales to those that have great, is they care deeply about their appearance. I actually mean that. Like, they're not just charismatic, they care deeply about their appearance. So what I would first say is never hire a salesperson who's not charismatic, and who's not charismatic first. But the variable I've seen is those when I do ride alongs, I know their closing percentages, and I ride along with them. The I've been with people who like kind of who like I've been with people who go to the house and their truck looks like crap. It's so dusty. They smell like they smell like they had their head in an ashtray for like a month. They just stink. And like there's they like almost they've never converted. Their closing percentage is atrocious. I get anxiety when I see them go out in the field because I know they're going to lose the sale, when already this company needs that sale, because that's why they bring us in the first place, to turn things around. The comfort consultants that do amazing, all the best ones, every one of the best ones, when they go out, they've been in the attic, they've looked at the job, they do, some of them like spray. I've seen some of them like shine their shoes again. A lot of them do both of those things. They like look at themselves to make sure that everything's clean, their hands are clean, they wipe their hands and they spray something on themselves, and then they go in. There's something like very professional about them from an appearance perspective. I don't know, is that necessarily the exact reason that they close more, but it's that they take their whole profession more seriously. That's what I believe.
Well, it feel good, right? Like that's the biggest thing.
Yes.
Like I used to write my university exams in a suit and a tie. And I remember the first time showing up in a suit and a tie, midterms, finals, that was it. Didn't write all the other ones, but I showed up.
Is that how you got the ladies?
I
you got the
actually wore
pics.
a shirt, a tie, a suit jacket, and shorts one day. That was one way. But so, and I'm like, never again. But no, showing up with a tie because I actually in one time I was like, well, I wonder what happens if I don't. I actually got a worse result on the test. Maybe I just didn't prepare as much as I should have. But I always wore the suit and the tie because when you look good, you feel good, and when you feel
Yeah.
good, you perform better.
For sure, that's exactly what I think the correlation is.
Yeah.
So it's really, this is a profession. They are professional, and a lot of that is that a lot of that is portrayed in their appearance. But I believe that trickles down from them seeing their whole gig as they have a professional way of operating, and with that brings trust. With that breeds trust. The customer feels it, and they are more okay with giving a large dollar amount to this stranger that they met, however many hours ago. So
There's the old Deion
that's
Sanders quote, right? If you look good,
what
you
is
play good. If you play good, they pay good.
that's the truth. But it's just, I just wasn't expecting that to be the variable when I visited all these people. That was the one thing that they all were like, I care about my appearance, but I don't think I'd have gone back out to the car, like sprayed stuff on myself, like wiped my shoes. I would have just been well dressed at the start of the day. It's like there's always this like touch up or this like reset. So they bring, there's this been common variable where they bring the ladder back out to the house, they reset themselves and they go back in, and that's when they sit at the kitchen table.
Mhm.
So there's this like reset.
Good hack for that. Scotch mints, by the way, are good for your breath before you go into any appointment because
Yes.
because now you don't have a piece of gum that you need to spit out, and you're not sitting there
Yes.
during the
Or with
presentation
or with
chewing
like gross
gum,
breath.
right? Right. Just put a Scotch mint in, and then by the
Yep.
time you get there, you can bite it and chew it, and away you go, and now you've got good breath.
Yeah. And like as an owner, I would say, like, look at your people.
Mhm.
Like, do they, like, if they're thrown together, chances are you need to have a little conversation with them around, do they actually take their role seriously?
Mhm.
And if they're not, and you struggle with recruiting and retention, just email me on that, and I'll send you if you want to work with us, there's those routes. But we genuinely just have a complimentary it's called the Master Guide for Winning the War on Talent, and I can send it to you. You don't have to be held hostage by your people. And appearance, actually, from what I've learned from all these ride-alongs, is kind of an insight into how seriously they take their job.
Mhm.
And it drastically impacts the revenue you can take away from that call at that house.
Oh, that's
I would agree.
fascinating. I love that.
Mhm.
It's an indicating factor, right? And yeah, it's one of those intangible things that you don't even think about.
Nope. Yep.
What
It's
if you were managing the sales department? What is the one metric that you would look at and want to see on a reporting basis? Is it closing? Is it
yeah, I love that question. This is the report that's created most change the fastest. Is it's a technician scoreboard. I'm butchering the term of what we actually call the report, but it's a live scoreboard where all your corporate consultants and your technicians are all scored on the revenue they've brought in. It's live, so they're competing against one another. So there's like live accountability. Typically, salespeople are quite competitive, and they want to compete, and they actually enjoy competing. It also shows them what the other guy is doing, so it shows them what's possible, creates belief in that way. But that live scoreboard not just allows you have the numbers to hold them accountable, it allows them hold themselves accountable. That bringing in that report has had the biggest difference. Firstly, because it's created awareness in the owner's mind when they build the report out and they're like, crap, this guy's crap. And they realize that they have to get a lot of people out, which isn't fun. It does, like when I roll it out with people, it's like they're like, crap, thank you. It facilitated all this firing, and it's crap that someone had to lose their job. But which I don't love. What I do love, though, is if you believe this person has potential, you can have a conversation with them that, okay, we now have this awareness. This is going to be displayed on the screen. The screenshot is sent to you the end of every day, the start of every day. And they're all being paid accordingly. And that's a whole other podcast on the correct pay structures that allow people to actually be motivated, versus what people think motivates people. Whole other podcast. But it's the technician scoreboard, a technician and corporate consultant scoreboard that's live in the office on a large screen that you can't bloody ignore, obnoxious, screenshots of them start and end of every day. So there's this ongoing healthy competition amid each other. You can take that a step further, but that report, I can send you that as well. Incorporate it into your organization, and the healthy competition that already lives within a lot of these salespeople is just sparked, because commonly they think you're not really looking at the numbers. Which now you're not just looking at the numbers, you're making them look at the numbers, and now they know that all their peers also know how they're doing. And it's not just being an ass, you're helping them get the best out of themselves also. And you truly do allow them see what their potential is, when otherwise they were just not playing. They were playing, you play two games in life, the how little can I do game versus the how much can I do game. And commonly people will try and get away with playing the how little can I do game to just get by. When you play the how much can I do game in the areas of life that actually can cascade your happiness the most, you end up improving the quality of your life dramatically. Typically you can only do that in 3 areas. So many people choose family, their profession, and like wife, mom, profession, whatever those 3 areas are for you. You allow them play, you give them the opportunity to play the how much can I do game, which dramatically cascades their life in the direction of where they actually want to be. They were probably just hungry for that accountability, hungry for actual leadership. Everybody needs leadership. People just sometimes need you to start stepping into that role in a more obvious way.
Wow. Yeah. No.
He's like, do we want to keep going, or do we end it?
I don't know, right? Like that's because the leadership conversation is a fascinating one, right? And I know you recently went through a pretty significant leadership training, which, I mean, we had Eric on the show back in, when was that? September, October?
Service World, whenever that was.
Yeah, I think it was October. And you actually introduced us to Eric and Lisa, is it? His wife?
Mary,
right. And their training. And I found it fascinating what they do. And we'll link that show down in here as well so that people can go back and watch that one, because it was a fascinating conversation. What is it that you feel like truly separates the best leaders from the more mediocre ones?
Oh, great question. And the answer to me is obvious. The ability to accurately self-reflect. And accurately is the key term. Like the Josh slags Paul and says, you don't read anymore. You don't go to conferences anymore. And I've seen in various leaders that if you have an incredible ability to self-reflect, where you could objectively look at yourself from a high level view downward, like I've spoke with the biggest goats of the industry, Dave Geiger, Tom Boyce, Paul, like Tommy Mello, really large guys. And there's been this, and Josh Kelly, there's this common variable that exists between people that are great leaders. And it's that they have this objective ability to self-reflect. Some people think they're self-aware, and they're really not. Like I know people that believe they're self-aware and they're really not. If you can develop the ability to objectively self-reflect and be real with yourself and make pivots accordingly, that's what allows leaders become the best leaders, because you will immediately, a part of that is being able to put your ego aside, but you'll immediately see where you are lacking in and bring people in to compensate for your weaknesses and step even deeper into your strengths and pivot in ways that you know are hindering the organization. Your ability to put yourself up here and reflect down and objectively look at your strengths, your flaws, and make peace with them and pivot accordingly based on them.
How much of that is related to emotional intelligence?
Oh, almost all of it. Almost all of it. It's related to emotional intelligence and insecurity, both. A person can have the potential to have great emotional intelligence, and they're so deeply insecure and haven't worked on those insecurities or traumas that it's less hurtful for them to live a mediocre life than to go back in and navigate through that nonsense, which navigating through that nonsense allows you actually tap into your EQ and not allow your insecurities or your ego or your inadequacies, which we all have, get in the way of your potential.
So if somebody is sitting here and they're trying to be self-aware and they're trying to reflect on this and they're like emotional intelligence, insecurities, I got to navigate through some shit. Where would you point somebody if they feel that that's them? Where would they go? What would they do?
It's a good question. And like we all have our shit. Like we all have our shit. I remember I was in my master's in Ireland at the time, and I sat in my family's kitchen, and my family used to sleep in longer than they probably should, and I was up and I was doing this meditation by Tara Brach, and she takes you through your insecurities and you have to make peace with them. I had a full-on blown fucking panic attack. I didn't want to go there. I clearly was pushing it away for years, and I put myself there, and I wasn't ready. So I would tell you to do it with somebody, to put yourself through a journey where you've the support to actually dive into your inadequacies, because we all have them, and it's fucking okay.
Mhm.
It's okay. And a person that I, with all of my being, could point you to, and you will be safe, protected, and you'll come out the other end utterly thriving, is Mary from Bold Driven Leadership. When you go onto their website, it's a cool website, but what's really cool is when you actually speak to people that have gone through it. It's like the dude with the cheese knife. Like, there's so many people that'll just sell this for her because she's dramatically shifted their lives, because she stands alongside you as you tap into the stuff you don't love about yourself. And we all have those stuff, or stuff that we know our weaknesses, but we haven't truly acknowledged, or we don't like to acknowledge. And it therefore bottlenecks us on a day-to-day basis, or a week-to-week basis. Mary Driven Leadership. It's a 3-day retreat in the middle of nowhere. It's I believe it's 6.5K, but 6.5K to dramatically shift you forward. It really is, pennies on the dollar. And if you're an employee working for this, encourage your owner to pay for it. Put them in touch with me, and I'll tell them all the good things about it. Or you could speak with Mary directly. Driven Leadership is the name of the website. They are Goodman's. They're one of Goodman's preferred trainers. It's that's it, because everybody's traumas stunt them in one way or another, and being aware of them and navigating through them in an appropriate setting is invaluable.
That's really cool that Goodman would invest in that, because that's something that, we wholeheartedly believe in. Like, if you want to help grow individuals, I was having a sales call with someone the other day here, and I was talking about their operation department, and I noticed some deficiencies there just in terms of their numbers. And I started pointing them out, and they're like, look, we're looking for someone who can handle the marketing and not the operations. Like, that's our jam. I was like, I understand that, but if you're not in business next year because you're not profitable, then we lose a client, and that's no good to us either. That's why this is a partnership, and we want to work on both sides. And if we can help you in this area, then we're going to offer some feedback. And if that's not okay with you, then we're not a good fit.
100%. It's like, to your point on things that separate leaders, it's the ability to actually be okay with feedback, and getting feedback who are in the arena with you, not people who have a strong opinion and they're not in that arena. People who are in the arena with you and being able to hear that and not react is powerful. When you react, you don't actually hear it.
Correct.
You just try and repel the shit out of it and protect yourself from it.
Right.
And you miss
the
you miss the lesson within. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And like, I'm not perfect. Josh says some things to me sometimes, and I feel like telling them where to go. But sometimes I need to hear them.
He may or may not understand exactly what buttons to push when he needs to.
Oh, he knows far too fucking well.
Well, like any good relationship, right? You know the buttons that you can push and that you probably shouldn't push, but you still do anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we all are the worst version of ourselves sometimes. No one of us are perfect.
No, not at all.
Well,
I love this. Yeah. There's more. We can do another podcast. I could go in a million directions, but this was our agenda, that we can find another one. I have a million one things that we can find time for, but this is fun, guys. Cheers for having me. I definitely enjoyed my glass of red wine in the middle of the day, which felt inappropriate and amazing, which made the glass of wine even more delicious.
Oh, we
Wait
had
till
states where
we do the odd one on at like 11 a.m. On some Wednesdays, because we have two coaching agencies that we're part of for our marketing agency as well. And one of them meets on Wednesday. Both of them meet on Wednesdays, which is when we do our show. But one of them is like we're able to do it and push our show back 30 minutes. But the other one's like right over our show time. So we're like, fuck it, we'll just do it like in the morning. And so we have one scheduled earlier later in the month. It's like 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. And you're damn right, so I'm gonna be drinking a whiskey.
You, I mean, yeah, that's the kind of podcast I want to be involved in. Now I feel this is my non-guilty way of having a drink in the middle of the day. I want to
There
be
you
on
go.
all the episodes,
Well, you just have to tune in live and watch, and then there's
I
you're drinking with somebody, not just drinking by yourself.
I actually on a serious note, I need to be better at doing that. I've heard you guys, listened to you guys. I've got to know you guys a little bit more, and there's I don't just like you guys as people. I believe in what you do, but actually liking you as people is probably even more important to me. So cheers to you all, and I look forward to the various ways in which we're going to encounter each other over the rest of the year.
Just like line butting, that's all you have to remember.
Line budding.
Line butting, cutting in line.
What?
When I was
Oh yeah.
yeah.
That you need. I'm just gonna have you cut in line for me. That would be great.
There you go.
actually.
Perfect. It's a way to get to front of the line for drinks. I did it every single time that night.
Perfect.
But this would have been a great end to a show, but we do have one final question here for you, though, Laura.
Do it. Hit me.
All right. What is one question that you wish people would ask you more, but don't?
Oh my gosh! I believe in being authentic. I really, 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 at some point, it's just not a priority now. Is have an absolute banger, killer podcast. That is it. So I guess the question would be: is what is something that you believe you would kill it at and help and make big change with? That's I guess a long-winded question. It would be a podcast. I have this deep inherent feeling in my gut that I could create change in that way. But focus now on growing our clients within Clover. So now is not the right time, but I told you the question and I answered it for you. But I love fascinating conversations. Get me going. Love it.
All right. Well, here's a different question then. So what is one thing that you wished would happen in the next 3 to 6 months that would help you to feel better about starting a podcast?
What would have to happen in the next 3 to 6 months that would help me feel better about starting a podcast? Somebody that I believe would serve our clients as well as I believe I do and some of our other executives do, so I could focus on it. So I could have the time to focus on it.
So replicating yourself.
Uh-huh.
Who, not how.
Yeah, who, not how. There you go.
Yeah.
Who do you need to hire to be able to to allow yourself to be able to do that?
Yeah, that's the answer to that.
I love it.
And we actually we're probably at the end of this month. There's a few candidates that I think we're going to potentially consider. So
I mean, with the amount of businesses that you've helped exit, I think you've got a nice pool of people who have a wealth of knowledge that have grown up in the Clover way to be able to share that knowledge with others in a very similar way.
Well, for sure. And it's so cool knowing like beyond the business techniques and tips that allow a business to grow, but the various like ways in which they had to like deeply freaking grow in order to be able to get over the various obstacles that like hit them in the face is so freaking it's people just love it. So many conversations I'm on, I'm like, I wish I recorded this. It's insight into those people's brains and journeys that would facilitate just so much freaking hope for folk that are so solid and just don't believe they are. Mm-hmm. Or people that are solid and their businesses are like they're no longer motivated by money because they got more than they know how to do it. I have so much insight into all of that, which has been awesome, and I just want to share it with everyone.
So it sounds like you just need to record your coaching calls and turn those into podcasts.
There you go.
Yeah, but that's client, I have to protect the client's privacy.
Yeah, you
but
censor the certain information that you can't share.
There you
so
go.
many of these people would jump on with me and
Absolutely.
enjoy a conversation, but it just wasn't the intent when we went onto the conversation. It just went that way. So I can't just, say,
Sounds like you have 375 episodes already in the bank.
yeah. Yeah,
See, we're coming up with ideas.
376. I'll make a spot for you both. Don't worry.
Oh, even better. I appreciate that. So, but look, it's been a fascinating conversation. I know we've covered a lot of information today. Even Stacy in our private chat, she's like, "There's got to be part number 2 to go into depth on some of the leadership things." But if you're listening to this and you're like, well, okay, she just said reach out 17 times. Hit her up, Laura at it's probably more than that, but Laura Grow with Clover for the free information because she's got a wealth of information.
I mean
to
that,
give
yeah.
you the playbooks, right? She will give you the playbooks, and it's the value first, which is what we really appreciate, about you, same values as us, right? So Laura at growwithclover.com. You can hit their website up, growwithclover.com, or if you want to follow them on the Facebooks, it's facebook.com/growwithclover.
Laura, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on, sharing your 4 hacks, as well as some bonus information there with the leadership aspects and the leadership tactics and some of the things that truly separate people. So thank you so much. You
It's
and
been fun,
Josh
guys.
truly are a blessing to the industry, and the changes that you're making in people's lives is quite phenomenal. So thank you so much.
You too, guys. I appreciate you both very much, and to everybody tuning in, thank you. Here to help in any way possible, and cheers. Take care.
And until next time.
Cheers.
Until next time.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Before you go, 2 quick things. First off, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. The other thing, if you took one tiny bit of information out of this show, no matter how big, no matter how small, all we ask is for you to introduce this to one person in your contacts list. That's it. That's all. One person. So they too can unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Until next time, cheers.